Good evening and welcome back to Mr. Math. Tonight we'll be looking at similarities, and this will serve as the second part of similarities with regards to our 2D geometry module. So this will be the final video on term 3 content with regards to explanations and so on. And then we will do a paper discussion tomorrow evening on the cycle exam. This will include algebra as well as geometry of straight lines and geometry of 2D shapes, and this will be for grade 8. The grade 9 paper discussion will happen on Monday afternoon. Now this will happen between 5 and 6, so please ensure that you are tuned in to join us and ensure that you are able to cope with the questions that are asked in the cycle exams. Now, the topic that we'll be looking at this evening is obviously similarities, as I've mentioned, but this will now include where we calculate the values of the unknown or missing sides of triangles. So, if we look at our first question for this evening, your questions will basically say, following the pairs of triangles that are similar, calculate the value of x, y, z, or calculate the values of the unknown sides. So that's how they ask the different types of questions. Okay, so moving on to our first question, I'm going to draw the shapes on the board and then we'll move on through calculating the actual sides that are missing. Okay, so looking at our first shape, we've got a triangle that runs all the way down, across, and then we've got a line that runs through there, and the triangle is triangle PQ, and then we've got S, R, and then we've got T over here. Then we've got 15 centimeters, and then over here we've got 10 centimeters, and then on the outside there's 16, and then this entire side over here has a value of x. Okay, so these two triangles are similar to one another, which means that the angles are exactly the same size, but the sides are in the same proportion, which means the sides are not exactly the same length in this regard. Okay, so obviously first thing, statement, reason. So statement and reason. Now obviously you know when you're calculating similarities, there are two ways to do it. The first way is the AAA method, which you focus on the angles. And then you've got the triple P method where you are focusing on proportion. So you actually make ratios out of the corresponding sides of the triangles. So this is exactly what you're going to do here in order to find the value of x, or the unknown side. So first up, with regards to this, side PQ, which is over here, is obviously the corresponding side to side TS. Okay? If you can look at it like that. So we're going to say side PQ over side TS. Okay. Then the corresponding side for QR, which is over here, QR, would be SR. So we're basically putting the big triangle over the small triangle. And then finally, PR and TR should be corresponding sides as well. So PR over TR. And remember that you obviously need a reason for this, and your reason would be that the corresponding sides are in proportion. That's why you could write all the ratios down. And remember, the reason why you can write the ratios down is because they told you that the triangles are similar to one another. Okay, moving from there onwards, now we go and fill in what we've got here. So what we do have, we've got PQ, which is 16, and we've got TS, which is 10. Okay, in this case. Then for QR, QR is the unknown side. That's the one that we want to calculate. So we're going to calculate the full length of this side. And then SR is 15. Then PR has no length, and TR also doesn't have a length. Now remember that after you filled in all of this, your reason here would be given, because they gave you all the measurements in the triangles. Okay, so you're going to work with these two fractions over here. You can't work with this fraction because there's no value to it. Okay, so you're basically just going to scrape it. It's gone. So now we move on to working with this. So the first thing that I would do is I would go and I'll take this fraction and I'll simplify it by putting the highest common factor into it. So I'll go and divide it by 2, top and bottom. And then I'll get 8 over 5, which is equal then to the x over 15. That is over there. Okay. What you then need to do is you need to get rid of the 15 that is over here, because you want x on its own. The only way that you'll be able to do that is to multiply it by the reciprocal. And you must multiply it on both sides by the reciprocal. Because it's an equation, it counts that what you do on one side needs to obviously happen on the other side. So the 15 will be cancelled out. You'll have x on its own there. And then obviously, if you go and multiply everything, so what you can do is you can say here, 5 goes into itself once, into 15, 3 times. So 3 times 8 would then give me 24. Okay, so the value of x, therefore, would now be 24. So therefore, x is equal to 24 centimeters. So the value of this whole side here is 24 centimeters. And there you've solved that question. Okay, let's move on to the next question with regards to calculating unknown sides of similarities. There's nothing much to this, if I can put it that way, due to the fact that it doesn't get more difficult than what it basically is, as you can see here. Okay, so let's carry on to the next one. For this one, we'll have a parallelogram. So I'm going to just draw the parallelogram here. There we go. There we go. There. Then inside this parallelogram, we've got a diagonal line here. And then we've got a diagonal that runs all the way through from the one angle to the other angle. Yeah, it's a bit skew here. Straight. Okay, sorry about that skew line. Then we've got A, E. They also told me that those two are those two here are the same. Then we've got B. We've got 12 units. I've got 18 units here. Then I've got 8 units over here. Then these two are also the same. This is F, and this is D, and this is C. Okay, everything's named. Obviously, we've got an unknown side, and that is the unknown side. Okay, now first things first, you need to know your properties of your quadrilaterals. So you need to know that the two opposite sides are parallel. We obviously need to know that the two opposite sides are the same length. Okay, but what they've done here is they've made two triangles and they are similar to one another. Okay, and you now need to work with all the stuff they gave you with the big triangle and sort out the small triangle in order to get your value for your unknown side. So first things first, statement reason. Okay, after you sorted out your statement reason, first thing we need to look at is which sides correspond with one another. Okay, so first thing, or the first side that I would say corresponds with one another is AE and CD, because they're opposite of one another, they would correspond. So AE over CD equals. So there's the first one ticked. Then the next one I would say corresponds with one another would obviously be EF and BD. So EF over BD. Then the next one that I would say corresponds would obviously be AF, which is over here, and BC. So AF and BC. And the reason for that is, remember, like in the previous one, you'd say it's corresponding sides are in the same proportion. So the corresponding sides are in proportion. Okay, that's why you could say that all these are similar to one another. Now, what you need to go and do is you need to go and fill in whatever you've got. So, first of all, if CD is 8 units, then obviously this should be half of it. So, AE should be 4 units. Okay, so AE is 4 over 8. Then for EF is obviously X, and then we've got BD, which is 18 units. Okay. Then for AF is over here. Obviously BC is 12 units, so that would be half of 12. So we'll have 6 over 12 here. And this reason would obviously be given because I gave you the measurement, and with a bit of common sense, you'd understand that these sides are half of the rest of the other sides. Okay. Now, first thing that you would do is, or that what I would do is, I would work with either the 6 over 12 or the 4 over 8. That will give me the same value or answer. But if I go further and I simplify these sides by dividing by 2 there, rather dividing by 6 and by 6, and over here dividing by 4 and by 4, I would obviously get a half x over 18, because you cannot simplify that as yet, and you'll get a half as well. Okay, so your entire ratio, all the sides, should be a half. So I can work with one of them, so therefore I can now say x over 18 is equal to a half. I need to get rid of 18, so I need to multiply both sides by 18 over 1, multiply by 18 over 1. So these cancel out, therefore x is equal to, you'll get 18 over 2. So x is equal to 9 in this case, 9 units. So x will then be 9 units. Which makes sense, because if this is 4, you multiply by 2, you get 8. This is 12, and this is 6. If you multiply by 2, you'll get 12. And if you multiply by 2 here, you should get 18 for the corresponding side over there. And there you've solved the value for the unknown angle in this, or side in this case. Okay, I think let's do one more question and then we'll call it quits for this evening. So the next question we're going to do looks as follows. We'll have a triangle inside of a triangle. So there's the first one, and then we've got a bit of a smaller triangle. There we go. So outside one would be P, Q, and R. The inside one would be D, E, and F. There we go. Then we'll have 9 over here. At the bottom we'll also have 9. Then on this side we'll have 6. Then there will be a 3, and 3, and a Y. Okay, so basically we need to find out what is the length of DF over here. Okay, now when you go write it, obviously you know that PR and DF would be corresponding, PQ and DE corresponding, and then obviously QR and EF would be corresponding in this case. Okay, so If we go calculated, obviously statement reason very crucial here. Then we need to do the following. So we're basically going to take the big triangle and put it over the small triangle. So PQ over DE, which is equal to PR over DY, DF, sorry, DF. Then QR over EF, and this would be corresponding sides are in proportion. Obviously you should know now that you need to write, if you make this statement you need a reason, okay? Then for PQ we've got 9 over 3. Then for PR we've got 6 over Y. And then for QR we've got 9 over 3. So if I simplify these two, then I would get 3 equals 6 over Y, which is equal to 3 as well. So your ratio that you should get is 3. And remember that your reason over here is given because I gave you the measurements. And now from here onwards we need to go and calculate the value for Y. So therefore I can work with one of them. So 3 is equal to 6 over Y. And then we need to basically get rid of Y. So you multiply both sides with Y over 1. Y over 1. They cancel out this side. Y times 3 gives me 3Y equal to 6. Divide both sides by 3 to get rid of the coefficient. Therefore, Y is equal to 2 centimeters. So Y is 2 centimeters over there. And there you've solved the question fully. Well guys, that is it from myself this evening. I hope that this helps you tremendously with regards to preparing for everything, to close off your and end off your term on a high, and to ensure that your marks look spectacular. So stay tuned in. There will be memo discussions and everything, as well as paper discussions, and I will throw in a couple of revision exercises where I see fit for you guys to be able to just use as a practice session. Until next time, ensure that you notify your friends to join, and keep up the good work. Have a good evening further. Bye-bye.